So, we talk so much about dynasties, and I think there's tiers to dynasties, right? So there's dynasties that go on to win the championship, and then there's probably the underrated dynasties. You see those TikTok reels or the Instagram reels where it's like, oh, this team was something else. Um, but I think we're actually witnessing a dynasty that is on the B tier, right? So tier two, definitely not top tier, not winning championships, but we have a dynasty right now that we're ignoring. So I got a question for you. Since 2017, how many times have the Boston Celtics been in the Eastern Conference Finals? Do you know the answer?
2017.
Yep.
Mm, I don't know. I'm gonna guess maybe three or four or five times.
Okay, that's three guesses, so it's a little excessive.
All
But
right,
the
fine.
correct
Four. I'm
answer,
gonna go four.
okay, it's actually five. So since 2017, they have been into the conference finals five times.
Yep.
That is with Jason Tatum. That is with Jaylen Brown. So this
Yep.
core have been to the Eastern Conference Finals five times. Now, as a fun fact, out of those five times, one of which is undefined at this point, so we still have one to go. But out of four times, they've been to the finals once, and obviously were unsuccessful against the Warriors. And this season, maybe they buck that trend. But let's pretend for a moment that our predictions, or my prediction specifically of Miami,
Mhm.
goes through. That means that they will have went there five times, only got to the finals once, and not actually won anything. Just in case you're wondering, based on how history has worked, not many teams actually pull this off. Not many teams get to go to the conference finals that many times and win nothing. Most of the time, they at least get one. So I think there's a level of appreciation that needs to be had here for the Boston Celtics that they're so good at being just not good enough.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I guess I'd love to have some statistics to sort of support your statement. And I get sort of what you're saying here, but my first sort of thoughts were if we stay in the East here, and you think about the Miami Heat and the Pacers sort of rivalry back then when PG was at Indiana and Indiana made a handful of conference finals or conference semifinals. And that was obviously a real competitive period there for Pacer history. You can probably also go back to the Bulls of a similar era there when D Rose was there. And again, I don't have the statistics up, but how many times they got that far? I'm not disputing that the Celtics are in a Eastern Conference dynasty here themselves, yeah, in that sort of sense. But um, I think there's always been a lot of teams that have been bridesmaids effectively, right? That's sort of what you're saying, right? That
Well,
consistently, and maybe if you go to the finals, you're talking about the Jazz, they went there twice, lost to the Bulls twice, and that sort of situation. So, look, absolutely credit to them, and no one really remembers the losers, right? That's the point, right? No one remembers the losers in sports. You got to win something, and then people remember who you are.
so I'm glad that you brought up a couple of teams. So the Indiana Pacers against the Miami Heat actually only made it twice to the Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe got eliminated prior to, but only twice to there. Chicago Bulls only actually made it once, and that was the season that I believe it was the 2011 season. That was when Derrick Rose actually did the ACL, so that's unfortunate. And yeah, as I said, when you stretch through, Detroit Pistons made the Eastern Conference Finals a lot, but they did win. They actually went to the finals twice, and they did win one. And then you go all the way back and Indiana twice against New York and Orlando. Orlando's there, Chicago's there. But now I'm in the 80s, dude. I'm in the 80s. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that's a lot of times in the Eastern Conference
How
Finals in
about
the
how about
last
the
couple of years.
Sacramento Kings when the Kobe Shaq heyday? Hey, how many times did the Kings make the
Well, I'm
finals? Yeah.
glad that I've got something here. We're talking conference finals again. Conference
Okay.
finals once, once. So what I'm saying is that I think this Boston Celtics dynasty that's created is probably the best third place team, fourth place team, because obviously they're not getting through to the finals most of the time and they're not winning. But they are probably like the best third place team that we've ever seen, and that's no hyperbole.
Yeah, look, and I think everyone's probably, especially with how things are shaking out right now, um, they're gonna win one, right? They're gonna win one. I think I think that's barring some sort of disaster or injury, as we always talk about. I think they've been knocking on the door for a long time, and this year could be the year. or next year could be their year. And that sounds a bit vague, but I think their core, besides like a Horford, is young enough to continue to contend and continue to knock on the door there in the East in that sort of sense. So, yeah, look, great little observation you made there. Don't get me wrong. But just like those teams that don't get any further, no one remembers them. I think that's the greatest statistic here. And just like players that score 30 points that don't actually make playoffs, no one really remembers them either, right?
Yeah, look, it's I think maybe look, it's not an indictment, it's just more an interesting observation. This Boston team's quite unique in terms of its two young stars being very young and being in the Eastern Conference Finals from a young age, and that's why they've probably been able to rack up this many things. But you are one of the things you're talking about, something interesting happening, they should win. Let's say they don't win this year. Well, Jaylen Brown may not be a Boston Celtics next year. Like that is a potential reality that they have to cross. And I personally have not done enough of this, and I don't think you have either, and I don't think our fans have either. But this new CBA, I keep hearing murmurs about this new CBA is like really detrimental to teams kind of creating those dynasties anymore. And I think this situation, a team that is consistently third or fourth,
Where's
is
Jaylen
is
Brown
pretty
going?
hard to replicate.
He's got 2 years
So
left on his. Where's Jaylen Brown going? He's got 2 years left on his contract. You telling me Celtics are going to send him somewhere?
I think I think if they get down, no, if they get down, if they fail to close this window,
Yeah,
anyone internal would basically be saying, "How have we made the Eastern Conference Finals 5 times and we have nothing to show for it with
but
this
you don't,
consistent
you don't,
core?"
you don't trade Jaylen Brown. Who the hell out there would you trade Jaylen Brown for? Not
I don't
KD,
know.
clearly. Like
I'm not
that's
the
the
trade man. No, you
the,
trade for
the
KD. You
you
trade
do,
for KD every time.
I just I don't know. You feel like you're now trying to shut this window on the Celtics, where it's to me is still a very wide open window.
Jimmy Butler's going to shut that window, and I'm going to be playing this video back. I'm going to be showing all my friends and family this video about how Jimmy Butler shut that window, and I was right, and that's disappointing. And I think we're good. Thank you for my take.
This is two guys with spare time. I'm Fowles, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.